Yes, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us for the launch of BSI Innovation Lab. We'll be starting at about 4:30. There's still time. 4:30, all right? So just a reminder. And also we have the Wi-Fi. If you like to log on to our Wi-Fi, you may look out for the network of BSI Lab. And here you go. Here's the password for it. BSI Lab Launch will be the password. Wi-Fi and a password displayed on screen. And we shall start at about 4:30. Thank you. All right, once again, in about 5 minutes, we'll be commencing this afternoon's program for the launch of BSI Innovation Lab, the first of its kind lab that gives organizations around the world a chance to create technology and also a sandbox for co-develop, experiment, innovation strategy for your businesses. So once you're ready, you may take a seat. We'll be starting at about 4:30. And also do remember to check in and check out using the Trace Together app. Put on your mask at all times. As much as possible, maintain a safe distance. And do remember to switch your mobile phones to silent mode. And no use of flash photography allowed. Thank you. Okay, just wait a while. Let me just use this. Okay. All right, a very good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us this afternoon for the launch. Now, my name is Charlene. Pleased to be your MC for this event. Now, as part of today's event, we're here to launch the BSI Innovation Lab. Now, this is a first of its kind. In fact, it gives organizations around the world a chance to create innovative digital solutions to help your businesses. Now, situated at the JTC Launchpad, a leading startup hub in Asia and also in the world, with up to and close to 800 startups and 50 enablers, this lab is set to host a vibrant environment for startup ecosystem. Now, of course, before I begin, there are some important housekeeping announcements for you to bear in mind. First and foremost, I know that for digital startups, all of you need to stay connected. So we provided a free Wi-Fi for you, so you may like to take a look at this. The Wi-Fi network is BSI Lab, for those of you who want to stay connected. And the password is BSI Launchpad, for those of you who want to tap on the free Wi-Fi. Now, the next important announcement is, of course, when you come in, if you haven't checked in using the Trace Together app, please kindly do so. Upon exiting the venue, we would like you to also exit out by using the Trace Together checkout app. And also very important for you to don on your mask at all times during the course of the event this afternoon. And also, as much as possible, do stay 1 meter apart from one another as part of the safe distance measurement. And also, don't forget to switch your mobile phones to silent mode, and also to maintain silence during the event while it's ongoing. And most importantly, no flash photography allowed during the course of this event. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the brand new Innovation Lab will give organizations around the world a chance to harness the knowledge as well as expertise of the BSI to create innovative technological and digital solutions. In fact, it is the first of its kind. So for BSI, it is an organization with a celebrated history. Now, you know that we are all here to help businesses overcome challenges and also implement best practice to improve their resilience. Now, the facility will also function as a creative environment, particularly so for companies, and giving them a chance to design, to also co-create and experiment and co-develop the digital innovations to create new solutions for businesses. So today, to open our event, we'd like to also introduce our very first speaker to welcome each and every one of you to the launch of BSI Innovation Lab. So our very first speaker has started his journey and career with the GE and spent more than 7 years coaching sales and marketing teams across Europe, Middle East, and also the Asia Pacific. Now, a Singapore PR by now, he has took on his first country general management position since the year 2009. And since then, he has now spearheaded the group commercial function at BSI with the objective of accelerating growth by shaping and also delivering the group's commercial vision with strategy across all business units, industry sectors, and also biographies. So ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, please join me in welcoming the Chief Commercial Officer of BSI, Mr. Harold Pradal.
Good afternoon, everyone. This always feels great, right? On behalf of BSI, I would like to extend my warmest welcome to all of you here today. Our dear clients, our partners, and several government officials as well in the room, and particularly a warm welcome to our distinguished guest of honor today, Ms. Natalie Blake, Her Majesty's Trade Commissioner for Asia Pacific. Thank you all for being here, braving not only the weather, but obviously the virological threats as well. My name is Harold Pradal. I am the Chief Commercial Officer at BSI, and I'm delighted to be with you to launch this Innovation Lab. This is a milestone for our organization. We have been in business for over 120 years, and it's the first time that we launch such a concept, first in the world, but also we decided to do that in the Asia-Pacific region. The opening today of this lab at One North in Singapore, in the heart of the region, confirms our commitment to rapidly multiply the number of projects that we are already supporting and leading across Asia-Pac from a tech perspective. In a minute, you will hear from Dan Patel, our innovation director, who will give some concrete examples of what we've done, and more importantly, what we are after, with your support, with your collaboration in the next 3 years. Now, what do we mean by innovation and by this use of tech in our industry? I'd like to share with you a very brief story. Let's go back in time a couple of years. We are now in the middle of January 2020, and I was in Tokyo, very cold time of the year to be in Tokyo, received a call from Dan Patel. You'll hear again from Dan in a minute. This day, Dan tells me that a couple of our auditors, actually from Beijing, were just landed that very morning in Wuhan, and for some reason couldn't get to our client site. Well, we didn't know what was actually happening then. The fact is, they couldn't get on site, and the client was pretty unhappy with that. So Dan came up with a solution that he had actually been working on with his team in the US for about 18 months. And this is a type of smart goggle, augmented reality goggle, that would allow us to conduct an audit while not being able to go on site. So we all found this a great idea, but there was no burning platform in the past 18 months, and hence no way to try this real life. So that day, Dan took the decision to send a couple of those goggles. Took them 4 weeks to reach our client's sites in Wuhan. And by the mid of February 2020, we delivered our very first immersive audit. So a quality manager on the site in a factory automobile assembly line actually performed the audit guided by our auditors still sitting in Beijing. And this was the very first audit we conducted this way, fully immersive, fully remotely. Now fast forward 10 months in the year 2020, we had then achieved 140,000 audits this way, taking a leadership position in the industry. I'm still waiting for the numbers for 2021, but I expect this number to be even greater. So this is an idea of how technology can completely transform not only the way we interact with our client organizations, but really the way we deliver our business. Once again, I would like to thank you all very much for joining us today. And I'm really looking forward to be working with all of you, collaborating, finding new ideas, and testing them. This is really what we are here for, as we, again, multiply the number of projects in the next 3 years. Thank you.
Thank you, Harold. Please be seated. Thank you very much. And ladies and gentlemen, our next speaker has previously worked as the Global Supply Chain Security and Investigation Manager at Intel Corporation and Senior VP of Supply Chain Solution at BSI in Scottsdale, Arizona. Now he has led projects for DHS S&T, U.S. Customs, and U.S. Department of State for predictive modeling of supply chain risk, as well as audit and compliance programs. So he holds a patent for cargo risk quantification, including terrorism, counterfeiting, and unmanifested cargo introduction. And is all ready to connect with us. So let us now welcome BSI's Group Innovation Director, Mr. Dan Patel, to address us.
Hello. On behalf of BSI Innovation, I would like to welcome our clients, partners, and our distinguished guest of honor, Natalie Black, Her Majesty's Trade Commissioner for APAC, to the opening of our Singapore Innovation Lab. I'm Dan Pertel, and I lead our Global Innovation Group, and this has been a long time in the coming. We tried very hard to get me to this important event in person, but with travel and quarantine requirements being what they are, it just wasn't possible. Innovation and pioneering new and disruptive ways for BSI to deliver our services and solutions is paramount to our company. We've been busy working on the transformation of our assurance, consulting, and knowledge services business. A good example of our early work is immersive technologies. One of the first use cases in innovation was how we could provide auditing and certification services to clients that didn't require our global team of experts to travel to a client site and perform a 1, 2, or multiple day audit. We worked hard at this and tested over 30 different kits, both hardware and software. A lot of early failures in weeding out solutions that weren't fit for the multiple environments we work day to day was required in order to find the best solution. In the end, we tested and found a solution that worked for the majority of our clients, provided a rigorous level of security, and a solution that enhanced or was equivalent to the level of service that BSI is well known for. We tested the solution within multiple environments. Using the technology, we performed safety assessments on oil rigs in the Gulf of Mexico, audited conditions in tunnels of diamond mines in South Africa. We assessed food safety compliance in hospitals in Australia. And lastly, we assessed cybersecurity infrastructure within the banking industry in Russia. While no one saw the pandemic coming, we quickly learned the early testing and ideation we did in 2018 and 2019 for immersive would soon pay off. Before the pandemic was a pandemic, and before COVID was known as COVID, Harold called me and informed me of a situation in Wuhan, China. A factory that had to be assessed wouldn't allow our auditors on site due to a spreading illness. We introduced our level 3 technology and performed an audit using our calling application and smart glass technology. Little did we know then what the world would soon be facing and how this and other levels of our immersive technologies would be used. In 2020, we performed over 100,000 immersive audits in more than 160 countries. In 2021, that number grew by 40%. Our immersive solutions resulted in a carbon reduction equivalent to taking 1,200 cars off the road. And to date, we've performed more than 250,000 assessments. This technology has enabled our clients to obtain or retain certifications necessary to keep their supply chains moving, allowed us to test and certify critical PPE materials, which helps protect everyone. We shared knowledge with the world in the form of free standards for ventilators and other devices necessary to combat the virus. Immersive is a great illustration of the business resiliency and one of the key deliverables for our innovation team. To illustrate another example, we've developed blockchain-based technology services, and we've developed solutions that immutably verify credentials and certificates. The Supplier Compliance Audit Network, otherwise known as SCAN, is an association of retailers and importers that represent more than 15% of the US GDP and a key partner with BSI's supply chain business. SCAN partnered with BSI to create the Trusted Factory program, which blockchain more than 20,000 factories, largely in Asia Pacific. SCAN can now verify with 100% trust that a factory carries authorized credentials, which allows these retailers to buy from an audited factory and will ensure the expedited supply chain transit and importation throughput time. Another blockchain-based example I'd like to review is a solution we call Aid Trust. In the spirit of providing trust and transparency with supply chain traceability, it is well documented that donated medicines are ripe for black market diversion and theft activities. Instead of life-saving medicines getting to people that otherwise would have no access to medication, they are distributed and sold for profit. This solution ensures that donated pharmaceuticals that are aimed at helping needy patients with life-saving medicine receive what has been donated. We can now assure that anti-malarial, HIV, or coagulant medicines, which have been donated by select pharmaceutical companies, now reach the end patient. This solution uses blockchain technology to bring transparency to the pharma and the NGO sector and is an illustration of what digital trust looks like. As Harold discussed, after an extensive search, we determined that Singapore was an obvious choice for us to base our first Open Innovation Lab. I'd like to thank the Singapore EDB, IMDA, NUS, and Block 71, and the multiple partners we've worked with in setting up this lab. I'd also like to congratulate the 3 IMDA BSI Innovation Challenge winners, which will be announced later in the ceremony. Our lab will be led by Dr. Clarence Tagg, and the operation will focus on future and disruptive technology. This tech will pave our future, offering us focus on trust, sustainability, and assurance. We live in a world with a growing deficit of trust, and we will focus on solutions that bring trust and transparency to product, entities, and people. As we reimagine what our future looks like, we welcome the many companies within Block 71, Singapore, and APAC to bring ideas that address today's and future challenges. In the spirit of co-innovation, the lab will also serve as an environment for our clients to bring the most pressing business challenges that together we can develop solutions for. In closing, I would like to thank each of you for joining us in person and online. Let's partner, disrupt, and co-innovate together. Thank you.
Thank you. How about a round of applause for Dan? Thank you for the welcome messages. Next up, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to invite the next speaker on stage. In fact, she's our guest of honor. And now just let me share with you more about our guest of honor. Before joining the civil service, she was the Chief of Staff for Security at the London Organizing Committee of the Olympic and Paralympic Games, London 2012, and also a management consultant. She held a number of posts in Her Majesty's government, including Deputy Head of the No. 10 Policy Unit, Director of the Internet Harms Unit, and Director of the Office of Cybersecurity Cabinet Office. So ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together to join me in welcoming Her Majesty's Trade Commissioner for Asia Pacific from the Department of International Trade and British High Commission, Singapore. Ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause for our guest of honor, Ms. Natalie Black.
Good afternoon, everyone. My first reflection is that's a very big photo to see of yourself so close up. I'm not sure I'd recommend it. My second reflection is my team were just reminding me it's almost 2 years to the day exactly that I was here at Block 71 launching IoT Tribe, which is another British fantastic innovation. So I hope that's a sense of a little bit of change, a little bit of progress. And I can't emphasize enough how wonderful it is to be here in person. But to those of you online, if you think, there they are in Singapore, sat in the sun, don't worry, it's been pouring most of the day, which I am taking as an indication as how, as ever, the UK and Singapore are strongly aligned, even on the weather today. So apologies for that. I know how committed BSI is to this initiative, and I particularly wanted to recognize your CEO, Susan Taylor-Martin, who I know is watching, and we've heard from Dan, Harold's here, and the wonderful Clarence, who I know has been working so hard behind the scenes. So thank you, the whole of BSI, for making this happen. But I also think it's important to recognize, as Dan indicated, the strong network of support here in Singapore. So from Enterprise Singapore, EDB, IMDA, and of course, the brilliant team here at Block 71, thank you for this tremendous moment. I've had the pleasure of working with BSI across the region, including as part of our response to the pandemic, and you had a sense of some of those stories. And I know both myself, but also our country director, Steve Firstbrook, are absolutely delighted that BSI has decided to set up here in Singapore and really double down and invest in the relationship in Asia Pacific. As many of you will be aware, Singapore is the UK's largest trading relationship here in Southeast Asia, and we have over 5,000 UK companies that use Singapore not only for its local opportunities, but of course its regional ones. Both the High Commissioner and I are ambitious for the relationship. I hope that many of you spotted that the UK signed our first digital economy agreement at the end of last year. Now, this is the first type of this kind of an agreement between a European and an Asian country. But perhaps most importantly, it is the most comprehensive agreement of its type anywhere in the world. And I think it shows the kinds of opportunities that BSI is going to be able to take advantage of going forward. Of course, it was a very challenging year last year, but what a great high to end on, and an indication of how the UK government has doubled down on its investment in this part of the world. For those of you that follow these things, the UK was the first dialogue partner of ASEAN in 25 years last year. So this is our first full year as an ASEAN dialogue partner. And we are also the first country to launch negotiations with CPTPP. Here we go, the Comprehensive and Progressive Trans-Pacific Partnership. That's basically the main requirement for this job, to be able to spell that out with not stumbling over it too many times. And I think for this reason, BSI could not have chosen a better time to launch this particular initiative. The innovation ecosystem, both in the UK and Singapore, is thriving. And as we all know, we are going to be reliant on that as part of our mutual commitment to building back better after the pandemic, but also making the most of these new opportunities, including the digital economy agreement. Now, BSI brings a wealth of experience, and I didn't know this actually until thinking about this event. But it traces its history back to the Engineering Standards Committee in London in 1901. So if at some point we get back to pub quizzes in real life, there's a great random fact for you. But it now has operations in over 193 countries, which I think really shows its reach. And why does that matter? I think we've heard a little bit already on that from Harold and Dan, but ultimately, standards and standardization brings together communities to help develop solutions. It ensures that as we grab the opportunities of emerging technologies, facilitate interoperability, and disseminate good practice, we have a way of working together on these issues, of talking about these issues, and of course, holding each other to account. And we particularly see this, of course, in trade. And really over the last couple of years, as we've tackled issues around supply chains, for example, these kinds of ways of working together have absolutely come to the fore. So why then is BSI opening this innovation lab? And maybe I'm not the best one to answer that question, but I think it's worthwhile just reflecting on for a moment. And ultimately, although we have this foundation dating back to 1901, as we all know, it's about continually evolving, recognizing the challenges of now and in the future, and making sure that we are adapting as much as possible. And to BSI's credit, I think that's what you're trying to do. And from a UK government point of view, BSI is the trusted partner in standards. I don't think there could be a clearer indication of that than the fact that you were selected for the G7 and G20 to monitor the sustainability of both of those events. So BSI's story is one of being at the forefront of what's new and important at particular times of preeminence. And you build on an incredible history while looking to the future. So I think the challenge from all of us in the room is to watch and see what you do next. And from my point of view, I'm very excited to have you as a partner, not only here in Singapore, but in Asia Pacific. And I think it's a question of watching this space. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you, Ms. Black. Please remain on stage to join us for the launch of BSI Innovation Lab. May I invite you to the center of the stage, please? And also to join us for the launch of BSI Innovation Lab, I would like to call upon Mr. Harold Perdal to join us on stage once again. Let's give them a big hand, shall we? Next, I would like to invite on stage Mr. Justin Ang, the IMDA Assistant Chief Executive for Media, Innovation, Communication and Marketing. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is the digital launch of first of its kind Innovation Lab in Singapore. And also, this is where businesses could also develop, co-create, and also experiment with new innovative strategies and solutions for businesses. And this is the launch of Innovation Lab. First and foremost, let's take a look at these 3 red buttons right behind you. We'd like to invite, first and foremost, Harold, to hover your palm above the red dot. That's a signal. Please place your palm on it. And the secret message is forging collaboration. Next up, Ms. Black, please place your palm on it. Initializing, and your message is accelerating innovation. Justin, your cue is here. Please place the palm. Message is enabling transformation. All right, now I'd like to invite our VIP to please step aside. Join me by the side of the stage as we watch this countdown together. 3, 2, 1. There you go, ladies and gentlemen, the launch of the BSI Innovative Lab. This is officially open. It's a sandbox of its kind for businesses to co-create and develop, and also to experiment strategies to help businesses. Right now, I'd like to invite our guests to join us back at the original position for a photo taking. May we have the 3 red dots back again? That symbolizes a lot of stuff, and your palms on it. Now, this is very important because we are always looking out for our media, our friends, media partners. This is a media-worthy photo. I'm sure that's going to appear in the news tonight as well as the newspaper. So there you go. Snap away. Megawatt smiles. All right, 3, 2, 1, and big smile. Thank you. Now, I'd like to invite Harold to join us to present a token of appreciation to our guest of honor, Miss Natalie Black, for joining us and gracing this occasion. This is something for you. We hope you love it. Thank you. How about a photo to be taken together? Yep. Let's look at our photographer. Thank you, Mr. Justin Ang. Please be seated. Miss Natalie Black and also Harold, please be seated. Truly impressive, ladies and gentlemen. BSI Innovation Lab really invites you to take advantage of their expertise and knowledge. And now, to know more about the creative environment, BSI Innovative Lab will also offer to various organizations and industries. So right now, we prepared a special video for you. So please enjoy this. Truly impressive. I'm sure that all of you enjoy this video. So please take, advantage of our expertise. Now, expertise and knowledge to develop partnerships which will accelerate your business and your organization to achieving sustainable, trusted, and ultimately more resilient environment. Now, ladies and gentlemen, next up, since the BSI Innovation Lab has been officially open, now we will move on to the next part of our program where we will honor businesses and also technology trailblazers through the BSI IMDA Open Innovation Challenge Award. So this award, enterprises, startups, and as well as innovators from all over the country were all invited to participate in this Open Innovation Challenge. And today, we're about to find out who are the top businesses that stands out. So once again, I'd like to call upon on stage Mr. Harold Pradal, Ms. Natalie Black, and Mr. Justin Ang to join us on stage to present the awards. Let's give them a big hand once again. Please take position, and we're going to announce the winners for the BSI IMDA Open Innovation Challenge Award. Now, for the Integrated Digital Asset Challenge category, Mr. Harold Pradal will present the award to our winner. And the winner goes to Tail Risk Analytics. Let's give them a big hand. Congratulations to Tail Risk Analytics. Let's grab a photo. Excellent. Let's look at the photographer. He's hitting, he's right there. Congratulations once again to Tail Risk Analytics. Please remain on stage with us by the side for the group photo later on. And next up, I'd like to invite Ms. Natalie Black to present the award. Now, for the award for Integrated Data Insights Challenge, the winner goes to Lexa Texa Enterprise AI. Excellent. Please remain on stage with us as well. And for the final award, the winner of the Remote Audit Verification Challenge category, Mr. Justin Ang will give out the award to Augmented. Let's welcome the winner. Let's grab a photo. Excellent. Remain on stage right now. We're going to do a group photograph, but this is what we're going to do because we need to have a safe distance of 1 meter. So we like to do a zigzag. So one back, one forward, one back, one forward. So yes, there you go. Very well organized. All right, so we're going to grab a photo of all our award winners and recipients for this award. So congratulations once again to Tail Risk Analytics, Lexa Texa Enterprise AI, and Augmentic, our winners for the BSI IMDA Open Innovation Challenge Awards. Congratulations! Thank you. Please be seated. And also to our presenters, please be seated. Thank you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this brings me to the next part of our program, a very interesting and educational part of today's event, where we will be able to get insights from our special panelists who are respected in their field of work. So we now bring you to our next round, which is the Roundtable Thought Leadership. So where our panelists will talk about sustainability, digitalization, and also resilience in pandemic world. So before we start, let me just introduce to you our distinguished guests. So joining our panel discussion today, we have the Assistant Chief Executive for Media, Innovation, Communications, and Marketing of Infocom Media Development Authority of Singapore, or IMDA for short. So he leads the group in establishing strong and strategic partnership with key technology and media players, as well as government agencies to grow Singapore's ICM ecosystem and capabilities. So he's also responsible for developing and implementing strategies to drive innovation in the converged ICM space and strengthen IMDA's strategic communications positioning. So let us welcome our very first panelist, Mr. Justin Ang.
Good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of IMDA, we'd like to thank BSI for inviting us to be part of this wonderful event. And once again, heartiest congratulations to BSI for opening their Innovation Lab, first in the world here in Singapore, so thank you very much. Digital has been a real bright spark for Singapore's economy, even more so during the pandemic. In the height of the pandemic in 2020, the rest of the economy declined by 5.4%, while the digital economy advanced by 2.1%. And that really goes to show how resilient the tech ecosystem here it is in Singapore, but also globally. And so with that, we can see how Singapore is home to 80 out of the top 100 tech firms here, and as the gateway to Southeast Asia, as well as to the fastest growing digital economies in the region. Singapore has the largest number of tech startups, as well as unicorns in the region here. And so what does IMDA do? For some of you who may not be aware, we see our role as the architects of Singapore's digital future. And within that, there are two key parts. One of us as an industry developer here in Singapore, as well as a regulator. And if we look at that, all of this really is our mandate to transform Singapore's economy through technology and digital innovation. And so there are three key parts. One, as a digital enabler, here in Singapore, most of you are familiar with us developing the infrastructure in the past, focusing on hardware, but increasingly as we move into the digital age, around software, data, as well technology and cybersecurity. And within that, to maintain a fair and trusted regulatory framework that really promotes business innovation. Within the Infocom and media sector, we are responsible for developing that as a vertical, and also to ensure that there's enough pipeline of tech talent, both within the tech sectors and the non-tech sectors. Because increasingly, as this event and others demonstrate, we are heavily focusing on digital transformation across the horizontal, which is really how do we introduce digital solutions to the rest of the economy, to the rest of the companies outside the traditional tech ecosystem. And with that, we are proud to say that we focus a lot on the bulk of the companies here in Singapore. Today, Singapore is home to over 270,000 small media enterprises. And one of our key programs in really digitizing the horizontal is our program called SME Goes Digital. We're proud to say that since 2017, we've helped over 78,000 small, medium enterprises start their digitization journey. But this is really just at the beginning. A bulk of them coming on board during the COVID period, really taking up new solutions that helps remote working and others. And so beyond that, we also help to foster innovation at scale. We're proud to say that BSI has been a great beneficiary of that recently with the 3 award winners, and we hope to see more because we really believe in our open innovation platform, which we consider to be Singapore's national platform for digital innovation, essentially helping to match real-world business problems to innovative tech solvers. And to date, we've hosted over 250 challenges. We saw the 3 challenge winners today, dispersing over $8.5 million worth of prize monies and amidst our 11,000 problem solvers. And so we are proud that we are able to continue to work with companies like BSI, and we hope more organizations are able to join us on this journey of innovation and digital transformation, and to build a vibrant tech ecosystem here in Singapore, and also to grow the next wave of tech companies. Thank you.
Thank you, Justin. Thank you for sharing with us. Okay, next up, ladies and gentlemen, with over 20 years of expertise in the areas of quality assurance and also food safety, and a recipient of the Merit Award for Quality and Standards from the ESG in the year 2017. Now, she currently holds the position of Food Safety and Quality Director of NTUC FairPrice Cooperative Limited, and is also responsible in developing the risk management framework and various control measures. And this is for fulfilling the vision of assuring food safety from source to store. So let's welcome our next panelist speaker, Ms. Chong Niet Chin, to join us on stage. Ms. Chong, please.
Afternoon, everybody. Yeah, thanks BSI for getting me here to speak to all of you. I feel a bit out of place here. Yeah, all the tech people, AI and everything. But I guess some of you here are locals. Do you know what NTUC FairPrice stands for? Anybody? A place to shop. Okay, for some of the overseas. So what does it deals with here? Yeah, definitely in line for digital solutions, which when I hear the speaker, my ears all open up. Where digital solution can be applied to a traditional retail, grocery, marketing, everything in Singapore as well. Then the other one, I'm going to throw a question to all the tech experts here, okay? Hopefully you can come out with some solutions, that can help to engineerize, innovate the whole retail industry, especially in current times. Okay, let me go to my first slide. Now, I want to talk about something that is very passionate, within the organization as well, talking about how we mitigate food safety risks, especially now, online food products selling the online. Why I'm excited? Because all the tech solutions and the digital or innovative solution, how can it apply, on selling grocery online? I think during the pandemic, the online platform actually helps us a lot, especially those that quarantine at home, stuck at home, and then you started to think in terms of, I can't go out shopping. So online shopping actually helps a lot, during a pandemic. And actually it helped grocery stores or supermarket stores like us a lot as well. Actually, we did very well for our online platform. I think around 15 to 20% search last year, in that sense. Why is it so? Now, let me put one important question. Does online food different from traditional food, or I should say, food get from traditional bricks and mortar store? Any different? First question, any different? Any different? The way you will eat differently, or purchase differently? So next slide, please. Yeah. We are all what we call the stakeholder, or we are all food consumer. So you have to realize that whether you buy from the physical store or you buy digitally, we are all on the same fork, farm to fork. Okay? So in the food safety industry, we always talk about farm to fork. Okay? And now the fork, it happens that you can buy from physical store, and now on the online platform, a click from your mobile, you can order any food. But, next slide. Is there any difference from a traditional supply chain to the current things that you purchase online? Is there any difference? Actually, the second question, which I want to ask the audience and also the digital tech solution people that is there any different? Actually, you're getting from the same farm, you know. Actually, the same processor actually process the food or export and import in and going into the traditional distribution center. The only way that actually differently is how it's sent to your house, and the convenience come in the sense that you don't need to get a store, go to the store to get the food that you want. Okay, so the innovation here, okay, for the tech people is how do you trace the food from the grower to the customer? Especially you have the e-commerce come in on how you sell online and how you deliver what we call directly to consumer instead of consumer going to the physical store to pick it up. And with that, the traceability is very important. The second question is for the tech people to think about how you innovate the whole supply chain and give a good solution to give the traceability we want that can trace to the farm, just like when you buy from the grocery store. The third slide, which I want to share as well, in terms of the additional consideration along the supply chain, and want some of the solution to be in, or some of the parties to be aware, you know, during the whole of the new supply chain, what we call to offer the online food to all the consumer, which is the following slide. Food safety risk mitigation strategy actually start with the value of certification. And that is why BSI actually invited me here, you know, to let you all know the importance of certification. And BSI actually helped us to get certified for all the stores. Okay, and the next in line, of course, will be our online platform. The second thing is the safety culture that must in for the organization, and the transparency in the supply chain that will help in terms of tracing food item or non-food item as well, and the end-to-end integration of the food supply chain. And of course, now, we are really looking forward in terms of the technology enabled solutions that can link all the dots along the supply chain. Okay, so that's the challenge, actually, we want to put up to the digital solution people that can come up with, that can link all the dots along the supply chain. Okay, lastly, what are the additional considerations we have to think of for regulator, for producer, and also as a consumer? We may also have to educate the consumer in terms of the difference that you're getting the food from online versus, you know, the traditional store, the responsibility. Now you buy on your own, you look at the platform and how are you going to buy safely, and then how do you know that you're buying safely? So the tech solutions come in as well, you know, to link all the dots to the consumer. And with that, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Chong. I think there was a request for you to be seated off stage as well as Justin. Maybe you can just take a seat off stage first. Yeah, so later on we have more people. Otherwise, you know, you will be on stage for a long time. Okay, so our next panelist spends about 15 years in the energy industry across a variety of roles in the natural gas and also decarbonization value chains, and some of which already established a carbon trading business and also working with local governments to identify and develop carbon projects. So currently, he's the head of commercial for Climate Impact X, or in short, we call the CIX, a globally environmental commodities marketplace and exchange that focuses on high-quality carbon credits in the voluntary market. He contributes in upholding CIX's mission to drive environmental impact at scale. So, ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming on stage Mr. Daniel Lee.
All right, hi everybody, and greetings to all and congrats to BSI again for the successful launch of your Innovation Lab. thanks Clarence, Harold, for inviting me here. So in the few minutes I have here, I'd like to share 3 observations we've made in the past year around sustainability and digitalization. The observations in themselves may not be particularly surprising, but I'm hopeful that some of the examples that we can share will be helpful in some way. But before I begin, allow me to just briefly introduce Climate Impact X, because we are a new venture and not many people may know of us here. So we are a new venture in Singapore, and we were recently announced in May last year. Our shareholders are represented by the logos you see on the screen. Our mission is partly in the name, which is to facilitate climate impact at scale via the voluntary carbon market. We seek to do this primarily by establishing a global marketplace and exchange for quality carbon credits. Now, if I unpack that a little, because it can be a mouthful, that means we work to support carbon credits that come from quality projects that are credible, both in terms of the carbon emissions that they avoid or remove, as well as the biodiversity and social benefits they bring. A quick recap for the benefit of all here. A carbon credit is a common name for what is in effect a digital certificate issued in recognition of 1 ton of CO2 equivalent emissions that was avoided or removed. There are many types of projects or activities that can be certified as avoiding or reducing such emissions. And this range from planting trees to building renewable energy projects or to sucking out CO2 out of the air and storing it in the ground. Now, I should add that our mission also involves building the wider ecosystem in this space, which means we work towards building up our community of buyers, sellers, and stakeholders through an exchange of ideas and best practices and access to expertise. Common themes actually with what Harold actually described to me earlier, what the BSI Innovation Lab is trying to do. So I'm very pleased to see the strong alignment we have with BSI. Now, to my first observation. So the first observation is that the topic of sustainability, and in particular the climate, continues to extract strong interest and attention in many boardrooms, C-suites, and along the value chain across many of the sectors of the economy we see, notwithstanding the pandemic challenges we have. So for example, we have clients, some of them who are in this room, who are actually interested in how they can neutralize or green their products through a combination of sourcing as well as the use of carbon credits. It's increasingly common for companies to make certain claims around their products, but there are some considerations to bear in mind and navigate. On the financing side of things, we have also encountered many financial institutions who are looking for opportunities to project finance carbon projects and all technologies that can help scale such projects. In line with our mission, CIX has helped to make many of such connections within our community. For example, connecting clients to BSI, who is a subject matter expert on carbon neutrality standards, or potential financiers to carbon project proponents seeking financing. Now, the second observation I wanted to share here is that the digital innovation is alive and well in this space, as we can see from the awards that you presented here earlier, notwithstanding again the challenges of the pandemic. In 2021, many of the individuals here at CIX, including our CEO, were involved with Sustain Tech X, an accelerator program supported by DBS, Google, NUS, Temasek, the World Bank, and Vera. The accelerator was aimed at identifying innovators within the nature-based solutions space. I'm sure I won't do the winners justice in the time that I have, but among them was a particular non-profit which I just wanted to draw your attention, again, simply as an example of digital innovation in this space. They are called Rainforest Connection. It's a non-profit organization that has pioneered the deployment of solar-powered acoustic sensors, which are then deployed on trees in the forest. I don't have the slide here, but I'll just move to the last one because it talks a little bit about biodiversity. But they deploy these solar-powered acoustic sensors on the trees in the forest. And these sensors effectively can relay the sounds that they pick up in real time to detect certain types of sounds. So for example, the sound of chainsaws or certain species of birds or even vehicles. So imagine the positive impact that this had in being able to detect in real time and prevent illegal logging or poaching, as well as monitoring for endangered species. I believe there are many projects around the world now, I think about 22, and if you actually have time, you can actually download their app onto your phone. I'd like to end my segment here with the third observation, which is that we often associate the topic of sustainability with environment or climate. But it's actually equally important to remember the societal element as well. As the world navigates the challenges of the pandemic, we here at CIX are keenly aware that carbon credits are a way of directing finance towards activities that either avoid or remove carbon emissions. But we also want to emphasize the co-benefits that these projects have on the ground, from improvements in biodiversity to the additional jobs and improvements they make to the communities in these areas. This is what we believe in, and is also why CIX initially focuses on carbon credits from nature, as messy as they are. There is always a risk that as the world focuses on the important goals around addressing climate change, it misses the opportunity to make tangible improvements in people's lives along the way. So where CIX can make a difference here, we would like to. Thank you all.
Thank you, Daniel. Thank you so much for sharing with us. And finally, for our final speaker, or rather panelist joining us on stage. Now, we have a member of the Institute of Singapore Chartered Accountants. And in fact, that's how he started out. And at present, he is the Chief Executive Officer and also the co-founder of Accredify, which leads the team in establishing the company's strategic vision and direction. So let us put our hands together to welcome our fourth panelist this evening. Ladies and gentlemen, let's put our hands together to welcome Mr. Kwa Zhen Wei.
Good afternoon, everyone, and congrats to BSI on the successful launch and inviting me here for the speech. A little bit about myself. In 2015, during the oil crisis, I was an oil and gas investment banker. Then in 2018, crypto winter, I was the managing director of the Switzerland-based cryptocurrency exchange here in APAC. And then most recently, just before I launched Accredify, 3 months before the COVID hit us. So I know a little bit about resilience, and these little experience have helped us to achieve what we have done today, to navigate the pandemic over the last 2 years and do our part when trust matters the most. Accredify is an organization that helps other enterprises to create and issue verifiable documents that are tamper-proof and traceable back to the source. So a big part of what we do is in secure information exchange, and the other big part is in simplifying complex processes so that we can enable automation as well as the ease of operational efficiency. So for today, up to today, we have helped more than 500 enterprises across the region to issue 1 million accredited documents that have been verified almost 10 million times. Today, I was asked to speak about sustainability, digitalization, and resilience. And the first thing that came to my mind was actually circularity. So if you look at this Venn diagram, if you have sustainability and digitalization, but without resilience, what's going to happen is that your organization is not going to adapt to the changing needs, and when a crisis hits, you may not be able to survive that. If your organization is strong in digitalization and sustainability and resilience, but not digitalization, you realize that sooner or later, you'll be left behind as the world moves towards a digital backbone for collaboration as well as interoperability. And then lastly, if you have digitalization and resilience, but not sustainability, you will lose your most loyal consumers and partners as the macro trend brings the world towards one of environmental sustainability as well as corporate social responsibility. Just yesterday, I was at Adidas buying my shoes, and I realized very subconsciously that I start finding ones with prime green or prime blue. So for those that know, this is one of them. And It's not easy to achieve these three at once, and I would say that most organizations will be a work in progress. So for Accredify, in early 2020, we were quite lucky that we had that mindset since the onset of our company. And then we started building our product as robust as we can. So when the pandemic hit, we were only helping schools and training institutes to issue digital certificates. But what we did back then was to relook at our core technology, and with the support of some of our partners, actually ventured into the healthcare space. So if I have any participants here that came from abroad, whenever you leave Singapore, you are likely to receive a verifiable COVID-19 test result from us to ascertain that you are safe to go back to your country. And another great example that I would like to use is how one of our partner, NTUC Learning Hub, utilized a very proactive mindset instead of a reactive mindset to achieve what they have with us. So in February 2020, LHub actually worked with Accredify to digitize all of their certificates for their training institute. And I say proactive because back then nobody knew that COVID was coming. We knew a little bit, but we didn't know that it would hit us so hard. So fast forward a few months, I have quite a number of institutions that are scrambling to see how they can transition online. They're scrambling because of the logistical nightmare of even something as simple as sending a certificate to their students. Fortunately, being on board with us, as well as their other digital initiative, LHub was very quickly able to transit into a digital learning platform and also to issue a certificate to their participants as fast as they can. So, we also saw in Ms. Chong's speech, I realized that a lot of times this kind of mindset is coming from the top down, and it's, although FairPrice and LHub works with very different management team, you realize that both of them are becoming more and more resilient using digital approach to create a more sustainable business. So with that, thank you very much. That's all for my sharing. Take care.
Thank you. Zhengwei, would you like to join me on the stage right now, the second last seat on the left? Yes, thank you. Okay, so now to invite back on stage all our panelists, Ms. Chong, and also, yes, Daniel to join us back on stage, and Justin, yeah, to join us back on stage. Okay, so right now we're going to kickstart our panel discussion, of which all of you had a chance to also participate online so that we can see all your questions coming in. Okay, while they are seated, I should get myself seated as well. And also we can mask off. That's a luxury, right? Okay, so as we mask off on stage, now today for our panel discussion, we have a topic over here, and this topic we want to share with all of you is about the sustainability, digitalization, and resilience in a pandemic. So there you go. So it's a roundtable, a thought leadership. So we'd really love to hear from our panelists. But of course, first and foremost, we want to just check with all of you right now. If you're here and you have any burning questions with regards to this topic, you can join us by simply, penning down your questions. We have the system here where we could read all your questions. And for those of you who's watching us online as well, go ahead and fire away your questions. So maybe right now, I'd just like to ask our panelists, why do you think this topic today is very important right now, especially to this audience? And maybe we'll just start with Ms. Chong. You look very resoluted. You seem to have looked very confident and you have the answer.
Why me?
Only lady in the house. No, apart from me.
Yeah. I guess I have asked that question just now in terms of what kind of tech solution, that can be applied to a traditional grocery supply chain. I guess, to be sustainable. And just now, actually, the last speaker actually had a very good sharing. Yeah, you have to have all three. You have to be digital enabled, then you have to be have process that can be sustainable, and then you can be resilient. And I think COVID actually helped us to realize which organization have a lot of good process in place will survive, through this whole cycle. And we did see a lot of companies or smaller company actually close shop, during this whole cycle of pandemic. So it's important that you have continual to be in that kind of improvement cycle in terms of carry on, with the digital solutions, because that, I guess now, is the only way that actually can push us to be more resilient and actually to can improve continuously, and the business has to continue. That's the most important. Yeah.
Yes, anyone to add on the thought of Ms. Chong? It is important for a lot of businesses, especially the smaller businesses, to be able to, move on to like digitalization, and increasingly so in a pandemic, or rather the endemic world that we are living right now, and this will perhaps pursue for maybe a couple more years. So, any thoughts on that? Yes, Justin.
No, I think I love what's been said, and I think that makes innovation a real imperative and something that all organizations will have to do moving forward. It's something that it's no longer a choice. I love Harold and Dan's example of these augmented glasses, right, AR, VR, so that they can continue with this remote audit during the time of pandemic. But it's something that, it didn't just happen. It's something that you guys prepared for years ahead. And then when the pandemic hit, it was just timely and right. So there is real need for organizations to press ahead, and that perhaps in the domain of IMDA, we certainly saw that during the pandemic, as we did globally. Certainly here in Singapore, sectors like the MICE with the events, conferences, as well as the built environment. So construction was grinded to a halt. And so with that, we hosted together with our other agencies, EDB and the National Research Foundation, National Innovation Challenges, which really are at a sectorial level, really helping companies within the entire sector, like within the conference space or the construction industry, really seek out new innovations. And some of the innovation challenges that were matched really helped to move those industries forward during the pandemic, really seeking new solutions, for example, to keep track of workers, whether in the construction industry or in the conference sector. So I think that really speaks to the need for all companies, small, medium, or large, really to press ahead in this area.
Thank you, Justin, for your thoughts. And also, of course, I'd like to hear from Kwa Junwen. Yes, Junwen. Yeah, from your industry, have you seen any like use cases, particularly that you would like to highlight, or how they have pivoted during this period?
Perhaps I can share a little bit about our experience in early 2020. So when the pandemic first came, I'm not sure if you guys were in Singapore, but there was a little bit outbreak in the workers' dormitory. So it was quite difficult back then when the workers recover for them to go back to the dormitory safely, because the dormitory owners were not able to ascertain whether this person is healthy, whether this person really has been discharged, so on and so forth. So what we did back then was actually working with the Ministry of Health and the Ministry of Manpower to pursue a pure digital and, in a way, trustless solution, where we took the data and information from Ministry of Health in terms of their discharge, and then we have it available on the Ministry of Manpower's FWMOM Care app that allow them to then safely check the status of the worker before they go back. So before that happened, we even heard of stories that, maybe some of the workers had difficulty going back home, and when that happened, everything became instantaneous and seamless. So I thought that was one of the examples of really good private-public collaboration, as well as how traditionally sort of slow-moving organizations were able to move very fast in this kind of special times.
I guess special times calls for special accelerated measures, as we really accelerated quite a fair bit of technology during these 2 years, whether it's education, whether it is, for businesses. Now, how about environment? Daniel, from your field, where you're an expert in this carbon projects, can you share with us more on the environmental impact?
Certainly. I think what we see is that when we speak to a variety of businesses, and they range from across the economy, right, be it in manufacturing, be it telecoms, you see a consistent trend where a lot of businesses continue to be interested in the topic of sustainability. And these are, they range from very large businesses indeed to across international or regional businesses as well. But notwithstanding the pandemic, they continue to be interested in this topic. And the level of sophistication does vary, because there are, of course, companies that are perhaps with more exposure to Europe, or more international companies who are closer to some of the trends you see from the investors in terms of putting this higher up on the agenda. But of course, companies in Asia are fast catching up. And what we have engaged with a lot of our client base is, at the C-suite level, at the board level, trying to walk them through some of the issues around sustainability and help them navigate some of these topics, which can be a little bit complicated, a little bit fragmented.
Thank you for your insight on this. And right now, ladies and gentlemen, after hearing from our panelists on stage, we have a mic runner on site right now. We'd love to hear from you. If you do have any burning questions, here's your chance. We got our speakers on stage, and we are about to just share with you what our thoughts are based on the respective field that they are in. So if you know any questions that you might have, please raise your hand. We're going to pass the microphone to you, and you can just share with us which industry you're from and which company you're from, your name, identify yourself, and let us know your questions so that we can answer you. Meanwhile, to those of you who have questions already penned in, we will love to see from the screen displayed with our questions. Right now, we don't see anything. So back to our off stage. Do you have a question from the floor? Whenever we say, do you have a question, usually Singaporeans are quite quiet. So now, it's a very cozy, very intimate session. So if you have any questions from the floor, you can just raise your hand. You don't have to stand out. Just let us know your questions. And we're going to pass the microphone to you. Maybe it could be a question pertaining to your industry. Or maybe it could be a question that you want to just find out more information about. From the floor. Anybody? Wow. They're very well informed, except one. Okay, behind you, Harold, we have David. So David, can we hand the microphone over to David, please? Is the microphone on? Yes, David, can we hear from you?
Hi, my name's David Horlock from BSI. I'm the Managing Director for Food and Retail, and my question is to Fair Price. So the question I have is that with the COVID, we had a lot of challenges there with sort of online purchasing and home delivery. And I would just like to know what sort of impact that has had on things like packaging. How have you handled that whole area in sort of, packaging? Because we've moved to an environment of, circular economy, reducing packaging, yet we have this, surge in demand with home delivery, which is sort of fighting the opposite way. So I'm just really interested in terms of your thoughts on that. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm expecting a question actually. Most of the time in such an event, the first question will be target to me.
Food.
Food, yeah, everybody's. Yeah, I think the pandemic actually really going against the flow of green, because more and more plastic packaging, created, especially for the F&B industry. Now, targeting the Fair Price online site, actually we started off last year, actually. If you order Fair Price from Fair Price online, you will realize that some of your grocery product delivered to your doorstep are without plastic bag. And before that, they actually warn you through the SMS that, please have certain carriers or containers ready when the staff arrive at your doorsteps. You can transfer the things, from the tubs, to your containers and all that. So that's the first step actually we took last year, realizing, we are the economy actually create a lot of plastic packaging. And online, direct to a footstep, actually you may not need to have plastic packaging because you are not carrying from the physical store to your house, So you can do that by having certain containers there. And the results are still improving. Of course, there's some customer may not be very happy that, don't have plastic bags. Yeah, plastic bags are very precious for Singaporean resident, for your information. Yeah. Yeah. If you don't know, you check with your colleague why. You see, I can't elaborate here. Then the other part, which just started beginning of this year, okay, our convenience stores, are charging plastic bags. If you especially like Cheers, or Fair Price Express, certain convenience stores, so we charge plastic bag if you don't bring your recycle bag. So that's a big step forward in the retail grocery market in Singapore, actually. So the second step, I think we are moving towards as well, in terms of reducing, if plastic bag were not able to be avoided, so then we are reducing some of our own brands product to have a thinner packaging material. So that's one of the steps that we also want to make, because if not biodegradable, then we try to reduce the thickness, of the plastic material. I think it's a long journey here in Singapore because of the culture and because of previous needs, that every household need to have a certain amount of plastic bags. So we need to change that mindset, okay? So that is really a challenging task, but I think working with the regulatory, we are slowly moving small step at a time. Yeah.
Thank you, Ms. Chong, for sharing with us. Great initiative over there. Wow, so definitely we're looking forward to all these changes that makes our environment better. Now, Harold, you seem to have a question early on. Yeah, sorry. So any questions from the awardees?
Yes,
Yeah.
correct.
Yes, our awardees, since you have, made it to the Innovation Award, there must be something that is on top of your mind. Just speak and share with us. Otherwise, I have a question from...
I think my question's probably for Justin.
Justin, directed.
Actually, I mean, when we talk about innovation, we're always kind of forward-looking, positive, and so on. And I always think I always say it's like everyone wants innovation. Like in the States, we'd say like everyone loves mom's apple pie or something like that. And people aren't really necessarily willing to accept the failure that comes along with, or the risk of failure that comes with innovation, right? It's not innovation if it's a guaranteed success. And I guess I'm wondering, I mean, in this last year or two, especially with the Open Innovation Platform and all the challenges you've had, I mean, what are some examples of the fail fast part of the side of the innovation story that you could share?
Sure, thanks. I'll probably respond it, I guess, in a bit more of a holistic way, but you're absolutely right. Innovation is a process, and even on our platform, we say we've hosted, more than 250 challenges, but a lot of challenges, actually, there are no winners, right? So that means there are still a lot of business needs that are still not yet met or solved, even when we open up, widely to industry, because clearly the path of innovation is one that constantly develops. Many of the solutions that we see today are things that, maybe 5-10 years ago were not available. So that's something that, we have to continue to push forward with. I would say the value of innovation is not just solving and then achieving a certain outcome per se. That's why we believe in a structured innovation process. That's something that comes with OIP or our physical facility Pixel, also very close vicinity here in Block 71, right? So through a structured innovation process that includes elements like design thinking or UI, UX definition, or how to improve on your digital storytelling, we see that as an opportunity for all of our partners, customers, if you will, to understand really what are the pain points that you're trying to solve. And through those kind of structured processes, we really see the value coming up because many people come in saying, I want a solution for X. But actually, they didn't know that they were really trying to solve for a wider business need or connect it to other kind of business challenges, right? And so even if you came in and you didn't really solve specific area that you were targeting initially, that really spurs the organization to, be open about what some of their challenges they are facing, and then, sort of improve that business. So that really is a flywheel of innovation in itself. And that's how we see it, right? So organizations that are open and then willing to learn tend to reap a lot of benefit. And of course, if they match that solution, build a prototype, lead to commercialization, similar to what BSI is doing here with the Innovation Lab, and that will be the best outcome, of course. Thanks.
Thank you, Justin. I hope you are happy with this answer. And now we have time for one last question over here from our Zoom audience. Okay, so the Zoom audience, the name is Benoit Takim. His question is, as a tech partner already interested in solving those problems, how does innovation bridge between all relevant stakeholders? Any one of you, would you like to take this question? So as a tech partner already interested in solving those questions, those problems, so how does innovation bridge between all relevant stakeholders? Seems like exam time.
Maybe I can.
You've been arrowed. Yes. Junwei, yeah.
Yep. Okay. For us, we have had very good experience working with partners in particular. So as an example of what we have today, with IMDA, we have quite a number of programs ongoing. Number one is called the Tech Acceleration Lab. So the Tech Acceleration Lab under the IMDA actually allow us to deploy our solution in a secure manner in the government commercial cloud, so that government agencies can test out the process and ensure that everything is working well before they move it to the production. So this not only accelerate the whole process, but also get an additional, kind of sense of accomplishment that they achieve certain proof of concept or proof of value before they put it to production. That's one. Number two is the IMDA again, the Digital Bench program, which is, if I'm not wrong, an extension or predecessor, successor of OIP, whereby we are able to deploy our solution, and it is more catered towards problem owners, and then you can set up a certain environment and allow problem solvers from multiple places to access your data again securely. So you don't have to expose different databases, expose your content again and again. End of the day, this is probably why we are here for the BSI Innovation Launch. So we have also been working with the BSI team, specifically Clarence, on a lot of different just bouncing off ideas, working. He connected us to quite a number of people across the region and in other parts of BSI, where we spoke about built environment, how can we improve the way that buildings are being built, how materials are being tracked, so that if there's any issue at all, we're able to track exactly which building is using what material and warn them before something happened to them. So again, this is exactly why we're here today, and I believe that innovation through partners like BSI or IMDA can certainly help to accelerate your tech adoption process. Yep.
Thank you for being our advocate over here.
Yeah,
yes,
just
Justin.
to say, I definitely did not seed anything with Sungwei. but thank you for saying that. But I think it just once again reminds us that innovation doesn't happen in isolation. So any company that wants to do it, it's very, very hard to do it on your own, right? Because you're stuck in that, and that's why you need partners, whether the platforms that IMDA has to facilitate or credify in their own case, but especially what BSI is doing here, just to add the external lens, even the audit function. So, would encourage everyone to get started on this journey. Thank you.
Thank you. And also, Ms. Chong, because this is the last question already, so any final thoughts before we wrap up the session? Any key takeaways for our audience?
I guess today I was sharing with some of the BSI team as well. Today is the first physical meet event, that we have so far, especially in the beginning of this year. Hopefully it will turn out well as well. Yeah. For tech solution to be able to implement throughout the industry or even in a company, I think a lot of trials and error has to start first. A lot of research has to be done. So I guess to the industry, we need to give such a smaller tech company a chance, for them to explore, and work it out. And like just now, and for the failure, to happen, then you learn, So I guess, yeah, BSI having this lab, I think is very good in terms of it gives all parties a platform, to meet and exchange ideas, and for industry or businesses to come and see whether the solution can be applied to their industry. Because certain solutions in the very beginning, maybe for a certain area that you thought it will be applied. You may not know in the end, actually it can be applied to other industry. If other industry come and look at it and benchmark together, I think that will be a great way, to innovate together, like what has just shared. So yeah, so I guess we want to see what BSI Innovation Lab can offer now. Yeah.
Yes, definitely. All eyes peeled. And now ending the session together with Daniel. Would you like to share with us your final insights?
Nothing a lot more to add, except that I agree completely with what Justin mentioned. Innovation doesn't happen in isolation. And I think, working together with folks like BSI, with the Innovation Lab, really there's an opportunity for people who are coming up with solutions, to just work together and, find how your solution actually helps to bridge across, different points of view in terms of a narrative. Because you don't want a solution that's just looking for a problem, right? You want to kind of actually address some of the real problems that you see. Thanks.
Thank you, Daniel. And ladies and gentlemen, please join me in thanking our panelists for this highly engaging session. Thank you. And at this juncture, I'd like to invite Harold to present a token of appreciation to each and every one of our panelists. Let us get the gift. And maybe I'll just invite, first and foremost, Mr. Justin Ang. Would you like to step forward so we can present this to you? It's a little gift for you to unwind and distress if you enjoy a good cup of tea. And next, I would like to invite Ms. Chong. Next, also Mr. Daniel Lee. Last but not least, Mr. Kwa Jin Wei. And let's grab a group photograph with Harold as well as the panelists together. 1 meter apart. First. Then first. Okay, and I'll be joining in as part of this panel discussion. And also for those of you who's watching us online, thank you for your questions. I know there's so many questions flying in, but in the essence of time, thank you very much. Yep, please be seated. In the essence of time, we were not able to answer each and every one of the questions, but thank you so much to the invaluable sharing from our panelists. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, with that, we have come to the end for the launch of the BSI Innovation Lab. So before we depart, we have some important announcement to share with you. Now that we have gotten the logistics of the food settled, because food is very important to Singaporeans, as according to Ms. Chong. Now, before you head off for the refreshments, we would like to invite some of you to the tour of the BSI Innovation Lab. And due to the safe distancing measures, we would like to do this in batches. So for a start, we'd like to invite the first 2 rows to the lab. So the first 2 rows of our VIPs to join us to the lab. Our BSI colleague will lead you there. So please exit by the side door over to this side. Okay. So for our first 2 rows, you may like to depart right now, as I continue with the rest of the information for our guest who is here with us on site. So may you enjoy our Innovation Lab brought to you by BSI. This way, please. Now, for the rest of the guests, we'll invite you to have your refreshment first, and we will make announcement like about 20 minutes apart. Then we'd like to invite you to join us for the mini tour. Now, this is also an important announcement. In your gift pack, your goodie bag, you will find 6 vouchers of $5 and also a drink coupon. And that's where you can utilize it at our Timber Plus. Now, if you haven't been to Timber Plus, we have a lot of good food over there. I promise you, really good food. And our facilitators will guide you there. So please be reminded to sit in maximum groups of 5 only, okay? So you're not allowed to remove your mask until you're eating or drinking. So we're gonna dispatch row by row. So right now for the first 2 rows, we would like to exit this part. What's my facilitator? This side or this side? For Timber Plus. That side. Okay. All right. So folks, this way, please. Where are you gonna guide them? Timber Plus. This way. Okay, sorry. This way. This way. Facilitators. All right. This way, okay. Yep. Easier for them so they don't cross over behind. Yep. So on the right side, please make your way to Timber Plus. Do utilize your vouchers, only valid for today. Okay, hang on. Just a bit of time before we dispatch the next 2 badges. So about 20 minutes later, we will invite all of you to join back for the Innovation Lab tour, okay? So the next 2 rows, please. And I think we can have the last few rows together. Yeah, there's a smaller number of people. You may exit by the back. You can follow the crowd to Timber Plus. Make sure it's a group of 5 and not more than that, and safety distance to be observed. And also feedback form is very important. So do remember to also write on the feedback form and send us a physical copy when you're back later, or scan the QR code. We shall see you back in 20 minutes.